Dan Illman, Mike Beer, let's throw up the field for the first of two divisions of the Grade 2 Risen Star Stakes, important Kentucky Derby prep races at the fairgrounds on Saturday. The first division is carded as race number 12 with an approximate post time of 5:38. Because they are split divisions, it is obviously a big field, and it really looks like an intriguing betting race, Mike. Enforceable, the 6-1 winner of the Grade 3 LeCompte, could go favored in here for Mark Casse, who obviously used this road very successfully last year with War of Will, the Preakness winner.
Yeah, we'll see if this horse can take another step forward. It's all he's been doing since he started his career, improving from race to race. He certainly took a big step forward last time. I thought this was, I don't know if you agree, but this was maybe the tougher division.
I agree. The Risen Star at 1 1/8 this year, so stamina going to be important for Enforceable. That's no problem. Yep. He won the 9 furlong 2-year-old race. They run one every year at Saratoga. Timeform US pace projector expecting a fast pace. I think the pace will be solid. Sha Shake Me Up's got one way to go. Yeah. The horse showed speed in the LeCompte before tiring. Had to really hustle from an outside post. I think he's going to make the front. Blackberry Wine's 2 big races have come in gate to wire fashion. I think they are going to settle, and I think Ready to Roll, if he's not fast enough, can sit, but I think that Gabriel Size is probably going to try to send him as well.
Yeah, they might come out of there running. We'll see. I agree with you. I wasn't sure he was fast enough, but they may just try and make the lead. Listen, even the 9, Mr. Monomoy, that horse has speed and wants to be forward.
Good trip probably coming again for the number 1 Digital, who finished second to Blackberry Wine last time out. I thought it was a good effort. I think the disappointing part was he had that race won at the 16th pole. He ran right by Blackberry Wine, and then Blackberry Wine came right back at him. It was kind of a disappointing loss, and I think some folks are going to look at that Beyer speed figure askance, because everyone in that race improved their Beyer by leaps and bounds. Yeah. If you don't believe the fig, well, maybe all of a sudden Digital isn't that strong a contender.
Yeah, listen, I struggled with it because I really liked his first 2 starts. I really liked his maiden win back. I know it was a wet track, but he ran really well that day. And except for not winning his last start, he actually ran really well again. But as you say, he had that race, won in mid-stretch, and then he didn't put it away and settled for, I guess, ultimately a disappointing second. Now he's got to go even further in a race that maybe run at a faster pace. It feels like there's a lot working against him, but I'll say this, if he's a big price, I'm going to try and use him some.
I think you should as well, because, you know, I think that last race was a good learning experience, first time 2 turns, great inside post position here, good tactical speed, fantastic trainer Brett Calhoun. Silver State goes out for Steve Asmussen. This horse sold for $450,000 as a yearling, has really done little wrong in his career, was a fine second in the Grade 3 LeCompte. He has trouble getting out of the gate. That's really the big issue for this horse, but if the pace is fast, maybe he can overcome that. He also has Asmussen in his corner. We have a formulator fact. Past 5 years, 3-year-old dirt routers making their 3rd start after a 61 to 120 day layoff in graded stakes. 29% winners, a $4.60 ROI. This horse is really solid. He just has to learn how to get out of the gate.
Yeah, he is solid. I guess all in all, his LeCompte was good. He got sort of a similar trip to the winner, except that he just couldn't. Enforceable made a nice run around the second turn. This horse, it almost like he couldn't go with that move, and then he just stayed on late. Maybe that suggests he'll get the distance. Yes. Maybe the 9 furlongs will really work for him, but I do think he has to improve.
That was what I was going to say. It looks like he's more of a grinder, that maybe the 1 1/8 will work for him as well as Enforceable. Ready to Roll goes out for Calhoun, as does the number 1 Digital. Scored in the mud last time out at Oaklawn in gate to wire fashion. We'll watch that race right now. First time 2 turns. Ready to Roll was able to get the lead, back down the pace to a 48-3, but a nice, comfortable effort, and I think this is something that he can build on. He's by City Zip, a $270,000 2-year-old in training purchase. I thought this was a good, solid performance, but he's going to be facing probably the fastest pace scenario as well as the toughest company.
We'll see if he can improve again, Dan. I mean, this was his route debut. You maybe want to give him some extra credit. You can see in that replay, though, once he put away the horse that finished second to him coming to the stretch, there was nobody running behind these 2 in here, so he never really had to face a challenge. I understand that he took a step forward. Maybe he'll do it again, but I'm not betting him off that race we just watched.
Formulator fact for Calhoun, past year, 3-year-old last out maiden winners in dirt routes, 40% winners, $6.95 ROI. I think he had By My Standards win the Louisiana Derby off a maiden win a couple of years ago. Perfect Revenge goes out for Saffie Joseph, and that almost automatically makes a long shot, an interesting long shot. This horse first off the claim, finished second as the favorite in a race at Gulfstream Park. You just look at his lines and you say, he's going to really have to improve to win this race. But with Saffie Joseph, the way he's going right now, it's almost impossible to just completely eliminate him.
I mean, I guess that's true. He was off the claim last time, as was the horse that won the race. That was also first off the claim for Saffie Joseph. They went 1-2 around the track. The difference was the horse that won that race really ran well. to me, I don't know if you agree with this or not, this horse didn't do any running at all in that race. He never looked like he was going to win. Sort of sucked up for second without being a threat. I don't see how he's going to improve enough to beat this field.
I think they're just hoping that distance is what he wants, but his big races last year came over synthetic and a couple of decent or solid performances on turf. Moon Over Miami got a fig 2 starts back at Aqueduct for Bill Mott. Nice performance. He beat Farmington Road, who's in this race. He had an outside post going 2 turns last time out, and he had a wide trip. I needed to see him run a little better.
I kind of agree with you. Speaking of Safi Joseph, his horse, New York Traffic, wired that field and just made the front and never looked back. Moon Over Miami had the excuses that you want to give horses at Gulfstream Park. Outside post around 2 turns, never could get over to save any ground, and just couldn't make his way into the race. You want to be forgiving of horses like that, but he didn't really do any running at all, and I was just disappointed because I thought his maiden win 2-back was actually a big step in the right direction.
Maybe we're making a mistake and sort of discounting him off that race where he has an excuse. Moon Over Miami, of course, has Bill Mott in his corner, formulator fact past year. Thank you, Country House. 3-year-old dirt routers, graded stakes, 27% winners, and an $11.38 return on investment. Let's get to the expected speed in the race. Shake Me Up, who was a winner at 7 furlongs at Churchill Downs in her career debut, tried 2 turns in the Lecomte, really got caught in a fast pace.
Yeah.
I'm willing to give him that race, except that he's going to probably get caught up in another fast pace here. Lots of questions to answer.
Yeah, we'll see if he can just get a little bit more of a comfortable trip in this race. I thought in some ways, and it wasn't enough to push me over the edge, but I thought in some ways he was the kind of horse you wanted out of the Lecomte because just had to be sent from post 12, contested the pace almost the entire way. He actually was still there in about mid-stretch. He just couldn't see it out. I thought he ran well in that race, Dan, and I really liked his debut win, too.
Blackberry Wine is owned by Calumet Farm, as is Shake Me Up. They both have similar running styles. I think Blackberry Wine's plan here is to see if he can sit, because we know what he can do when he can get to the front, as he did on Dirt 3-back, and as he did last time out when he got to the front, was passed by Digital and re-rallied. The only tape we have of him is the race at Keeneland on October the 6th, and he's just not the turf horse. I understand why they've tried this surface. He's got some turf pedigree. He's in the Calumet Silks in the black, and he's sort of clunking up for 3rd in a decent field where the first 2 finishers came back to win, but he's just been a better horse on the dirt. He's also had easy trips in both of those races.
True enough. I mean, listen, the win, the maiden win 3 starts back, that was over a wet track, and he settled that race very quickly, strongly in control all the way. That was an impressive win. Last time, the figure went way up. I wasn't as impressed because they basically conceded the lead to him in there, handed it to him. He looked beat in mid-stretch, and he somehow found a way to fight back. If the 94 is legit, he's very dangerous, and here I kind of want to see it again.
It's funny that the 2 races that he's won have come on the undercards of sort of graded stakes race derby preps. The November 30th was the Kentucky Jockey Club. Blackberry Wine won his mile in his 16th race in 45.65. The winner of the Kentucky Jockey Club went 45.94. In the Lecomte, they went 43.72. Same day he went 43.22. He's fast when he gets the right scenario. The question is, can he sit and finish against better horses? We'll find out here.
He went faster than the Lecomte last time, final time, but they went a way faster pace than that.
Yeah, no, it's a completely different scenario, and that's something you always have to keep in mind. And Enforceable took advantage of that fast pace last time out to win the Lecomte. That's not saying he is not a good horse. He just got the right setup on that day. 3rd in the Breeders' Futurity. I thought that was a fine enough effort first off the maiden win. A mile and an eighth is what he wants, and if you give him another fast pace, he's going to come running.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, listen, he just keeps taking steps forward, and basically in every one of his starts, he just keeps edging forward. Yes, he took advantage a bit last time, but he was always on the outside. He made a nice run around the turn, and he kept going through the stretch. The distance is no problem for him.
I think Mr. Monomoy deserves a little bit of extra credit for the Lecomte because he was kind of close to that fast pace, and he was still punching along at the end, only beating a length and 3/4. He's got that pedigree. He's the half to Monomoy girl, and his tactical speed. And I like this post position for him because he can keep an eye on the 3 horses inside that are expected to show speed. I think Florent Giroux's going to tuck in sitting 4th, try to get the jump on these horses turning into the stretch, and we'll see if he can live up to his potential because each and every start has been a step forward.
Listen, I agree that his Lecomte was a pretty good try considering that he was close to the pace. He did get the split in the stretch, but as he was doing that, Enforceable was already under a full head of steam down the outside. He wasn't going to outfinish that horse. I was disappointed disappointed in his race two-back. I didn't think he ran that great, even though he missed a head. It was a wet track.
Yes.
Maybe that's the excuse. I thought that was a race he probably should have won.
Farmington Road ships in for trainer Todd Pletcher. He's paired up by tops in his last two, including this win at 1-2-5 at Tampa. And Todd will do this. He'll send his 3-year-olds to Tampa Bay to get him around 2 turns and to face the lesser company. So this horse should be feeling great. Confidence boosting win didn't exactly destroy the field like you want to see a 1-5 do, but very professional.
Yeah, he was. I mean, even though he doesn't win by a lot, there was never really a point from the far turn where you thought he was going to lose. You can see how far it is back to the rest of the field. I thought he ran, okay in that race. I really felt like his runner-up to Moon over Miami two-back was a pretty good effort. I mean, he could not keep up early in that race. Castellano had the whip out. They were still on the backstretch, and he just couldn't keep up, but he leveled into a nice run eventually. He really finished well in there. I thought that race we just watched was another step in the right direction. I think this horse wants to go even longer.
And I think despite the connections, he's going to be a playable price because his figs right now are just a little bit light compared to the others. And at this time of year, they can improve by leaps and bounds from day to day. Scabbard's sort of an interesting horse. What a lousy post position, unfortunately, for this Eddie Keneally trainee. I liked his Iroquois, where he finished second behind Dennis's Moment. It looked like Corey Lanery tried to make an inside mid-move into that race, ran right up onto heels, had to gather himself again, ended up finishing second in Dennis's Moment, one of the better 2-year-olds in the country last year. Breeders' Cup Juvenile, I picked him that day, and it's funny because he kind of finished ahead of the major names in the race, and yet he still didn't crack the board. I think he was one of those horses that might not have cared for the surface. Last time out in the Lecomte, maybe you can say that was a disappointing performance, but he was kind of down inside.
Yeah, I agree. I didn't love his Breeders' Cup, but it's just such an easy race to make excuses for everybody. I don't want to hold it against him because, like you, I thought his Iroquois was real good. I don't know what to say about his Lecomte last time. They raided the break, they didn't want to be forward in there, and he just rode the inside. He was in traffic at the top of the stretch. I didn't think he finished that great once he got clear, but maybe he had enough of a trip off of that layup that you want to be considerate of him and give him another chance. He drew terrible in here. I don't know, Dan. I'm on the fence with this horse. If he gets the trip, I think he can contend.
But maybe Eddie Keneally was using that race as a prep. And this formulator fact is interesting. Past 4 years, 3-year-old Dirt Router's second start after a 2 to 4 month layoff, 40% winners, and an $8.76 RO. I think Sailor's Valentine won the Ashland, a Grade 1 stakes race, second off the layoff at a gigantic number. Scabbard can win this race. He's talented enough, and I think Rosario will fit him. It's just what kind of trip does he get? I think Joel just breaks and sort of just takes him to the back and hopes this pace falls apart, and this horse wants the distance.
I agree. I mean, they don't have to do that. They could try and come out of their running and get a position, but I think he'll take him back.
A lot of ifs for a horse that might be 5-1 at post time. Let's take a look at our top selections for the Grade 2 Risen Star. It's a wide open race. I like the heart that Blackberry Wine showed last time out. If he rates, I think he's going to be sitting off of Ready to Roll, who we don't like, off of Shasha Shake Me Up, who we don't like. These could be two very nice targets for this horse. Has proven he's like the fairgrounds. I think he's going to get the jump. He's probably going to have Mr. Monomoy breathing down his throat, and then the closers. It's a big ask for Blackberry Wine. He has the fig. I'm going to give it a shot.
Yeah, you like that allowance race on January 18th, and I kind of do too. I'm taking Digital out of that one. And not Blackberry Wine. I will use Digital. I just put Pletcher's horse on top. It feels like there could be some hitting in here. I think this horse wants to stretch out, and we just see Todd do this every year. He points the right horses for these prep races. He gets them to improve. This horse looks like he wants to go all day.
All upside at a price for Mike's top selection. Farmington Road, 10-185 for Mike, 7-182 for me. It's the first division of the Grade 2 Risen Star. It's an important Kentucky Derby prep, and it has an approximate post time of 5:38 Central. Good luck.